All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are breaking down an absolutely fascinating blueprint for building a seriously powerful sales engine. Think of it like a complete operating system for growth. We're going to look at it through the lens of a real estate brokerage, but let me tell you, the principles we're about to cover, they can apply to just about any sales organization out there.
So, to really understand this system, we have to start with the problem it was built to solve. So, let me ask you, what do you think is the single biggest, most persistent challenge a real estate brokerage deals with, day in and day out? Now, your first stop might be, well, it's got to be finding buyers or selling homes, right? Moving the product. But that's not actually it. The real problem is something much more fundamental, and it's something that is constantly draining the lifeblood out of the business.
Yup, the real problem is retention. It's keeping your talented, productive people from walking right out the door. This is that classic leaky bucket problem that stops so many sales organizations from ever really hitting that stable, predictable growth they're looking for.
So let's just call this what it is, the revolving door. It's this vicious cycle that so many businesses get trapped in. You pour all this time, all this money into training new talent, only to watch them leave just when they're starting to become profitable. It's maddening. And this is the trap. Most brokerages are just stuck on a treadmill, constantly recruiting just to fill the empty seats, just to keep their headcount from dropping. But as this blueprint argues, recruiting just for the sake of numbers doesn't build a solid foundation. It's super inefficient, it's expensive, and it definitely does not lead to compounding growth. So, how in the world do you fix this? Well, this brings us to the absolute core philosophy of the entire blueprint, the retention is production model. And it's a pretty radical shift in how you think about why people stay and why they succeed. Now, I love this slide because the contrast is just so stark. You see, the old way of thinking about retention was all about perks and parties, the surface level stuff. But this new model, it argues that real, sticky retention comes from a system that delivers actual production and a predictable pipeline of business. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Real loyalty, it isn't bought with a pizza party. It's earned. It's earned by building a machine that genuinely helps your people win. People stay when they have consistent opportunity, real support, and a clear path to get where they want to go. This is what's called the retention stack, and it is the bedrock of the whole model. Everything else is built right on top of these three things: providing a lead engine that actually works, having a team that offers real coaching every single week, and a system that can reliably turn strangers into closed deals. Okay, so if the retention stack is the philosophy, the why, then the hyperlocal team engine is the machine that makes it all happen. This is the nuts and bolts, the mechanical core of the entire blueprint.
So, what exactly is a hyperlocal team? Well, think of it like a small, specialized unit, almost like a special forces team for real estate. It's not just a random group of agents. It's a dedicated team that literally owns a specific territory, runs on a shared system with very strict rules, and has one goal: to completely dominate that local market. And here's exactly how that engine works in 4 pretty simple steps. First, super specific local content pulls in the right person. Second, the system instantly delivers that lead to the right team. Third, and this is key, an agent is required to respond in under 10 minutes. And finally, coaching and proven scripts help them turn that conversation into a real client. It's predictable and it's repeatable. And this right here, this is the mantra that makes the entire system hum. The incentives are perfectly aligned. The brokerage invests in a system that creates opportunities, and the agent gets a steady stream of business that lets them focus on what they do best, which is selling. The house wins, and the agent wins. Everybody wins. But of course, a system this powerful only works if the money makes sense, right? So how does this model actually pencil out? Well, that brings us to the economics of momentum. And at the very heart of this financial model is one number: 50-50. This is the most common commission split on any lead that's generated by the brokerage's system. Now, I know what you might be thinking. To a solo agent, that might sound kind of low, but it is the absolute key to making the whole engine profitable and sustainable for everyone. This is the fundamental trade, the core value exchange, and the blueprint calls it margin for momentum. Agents are more than willing to trade a higher commission margin on deals that might never happen for the momentum of a real, consistent pipeline, because a predictable income from a steady flow of leads is so much more valuable than a high split on zero business. And this table just makes the whole argument crystal clear. Over on the left, you've got the solo agent model. Yeah, you got a high split, but you get 0 leads from the company, training is all on you, and your income is all over the place. Now on the right, you've got the team model. You get consistent inbound leads, weekly coaching, lower out-of-pocket costs, and a much more predictable income stream. For most people, the choice becomes pretty obvious. Real momentum is way more valuable than theoretical margin.
Well, look, an engine like this doesn't just run on its own. It needs fuel. And that fuel is operational discipline. These are the non-negotiable, hard and fast rules that make the entire system actually work.
The very first rule is an obsession with speed. In this system, speed is not a suggestion, it's not a guideline, it is a core cultural value. It's seen as the single biggest driver of converting a lead into a client, and it is protected at all costs.
And these are not vague goals. They are strict, measurable contracts. Responding to a web lead in under 10 minutes can literally be the difference between getting a new client and losing them forever. This isn't just a best practice, it's the law of the system. In fact, they take it so seriously that if a team's speed starts to slip, their marketing budget gets frozen until they fix the problem. That's how critical it is. All right, the second core discipline is all about data. In this blueprint, keeping your data clean isn't some boring administrative task. It is a cultural pillar. And why? Because clean data leads to clean decisions, and clean decisions raise your conversion rates. Simple as that. And again, this is enforced with strict, non-negotiable rules. Every single lead has to have a next step. Every lead that's marked dead needs a reason why. Now, this isn't about micromanagement, it's about clarity. This discipline is what lets leaders see exactly what's working and what isn't, so they can make smart investments. In this system, clean data pays for everything. So, when you put it all together, a system that's built from the ground up for attention, powered by a hyperlocal engine, funded by perfectly aligned economics, and then fueled by intense discipline, it really makes you wonder, is this systematic approach, this model that trades margin for momentum and values process over perks, is this the future of how high-performance sales organizations are going to be built?